So, but there are solutions out there specifically for smart homes,
Yeah.
where there's another box that adds
Another layer of
the
protection
layer of
to it.
security. So, yeah.
Interesting.
So the voice assistants, I think, are here to stay,
Yeah.
and I see myself a lot of innovation potentially occurring in that space, especially for. There's an innovation right here locally where it's an Alexa skill, if you will.
Mhm.
And every morning, the senior citizen might say good morning, and the skill starts asking questions. You go through a routine series
yeah.
of questions, and they kind of do a health check, if
Yeah.
you will, and maybe they have to repeat, count backwards from 10 or something, or talk about it. Did they have a hot meal? But that information is then shared with the caregivers and the loved
Okay,
ones, and so
interesting.
everybody is in the know now that life is good for mom and or dad, right? In
Yeah.
that case, so. The voice-activated intelligence and assistance
Yeah, I definitely
can
think
be
that's
a very
where it's
good thing.
going.
Not to mention, just waking up and saying, what's the weather out today?
Well, and that's something that I
how's my
enjoy
commute
today,
this
yeah.
morning? And those things.
Yeah.
What's the news?
Yeah. Well, I have something that when you open the door, and this is kind of annoying to anyone else that's in the house, but it's like, do you have a jacket on? It's 20 degrees. It's set up because I don't wear a jacket when it's 20 degrees.
Well, it has to be.
Right.
Yeah, maybe it's
Well,
geared more towards the kids.
Well, that was I set that up for me. So it was just one of those things where
sure.
it was an option. It was marketed, and I'm like, whatever, we'll put it on there, right? And then
absolutely.
everyone knows if I'm walking out, but it's okay.
Yeah. In fact, they know you're on your way to work, maybe. So
right now everyone's on the same page,
Yeah.
right? And but like I said, I think that the paranoia that comes with it isn't completely unfounded, because there was
no, you do give up privacy.
when smart fridges first came out. That was a major issue. I remember people getting into the network through the fridge, which I think is a very inventive way to hack somebody's home.
Sure, anything that has an IP address, right?
For sure.
It's simple as that.
And I think that when I talk to people specific to cybersecurity and IoT, I'm like, well, if somebody's going to go through all the trouble of hacking you, you have to have something that somebody's really going to make money off of, or if somebody really has a personal vendetta. But I don't think that's as common as people might think. And I think that if somebody has a personal vendetta against them, there's also, is that person also super adept at breaking into smart fridges, right? And I think that when IoT devices first started really popping up, or the smart home devices really started popping up like 3 or 4 years ago, they had no security measures. They were just pushed out to the market. I think that was a mistake.
It's very new, yeah.
Now I don't see that. I see a lot of them have security measures. They're not really interfacing with everyone on the network.
It can be a closed network, your home.
Yeah. Well, like even with my, I don't have a smart fridge, but my Alexa units can't see my computers. Like, it can't get into them. It sees that they're on the network, I'm sure, but it can't. They're all protected, right? They're all closed off. They're sanctioned. They're not in the same work groups, if you will.
Good.
And I think that that's kind of a best practice. But I think that the devices now come out that way because they don't want, like, these companies don't want a backdoor into your house, right? What people are really looking for, I think, is advertising or how to market to you better. They're not trying to find your pictures, right?
Sure.
At least that's my assumption. Maybe Amazon is, but yeah, I think that cybersecurity has a very interesting role because it has so many
role too.
Well, there's so many layers, especially when you're looking at the nursing home scenario. Because I know that there's nursing homes do a lot of great things, but it's also you're handing somebody your parents' lives, right? And so there's power with that, and you gotta have to navigate those waters carefully.
But with IoT, that power that the nursing home has is also extended now to the loved ones and the caregivers who are not physically located there, thanks to the network,
right?
if you will.
So sensors throwing everything back home, so
now
you can also have the same information.
All are aware, in a sense.
Yeah.
Where before it might have been isolated.
Yeah,
so
that's
you
true.
really had no idea what was going on there.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's a great point. I think that transparency is going to be something that's a very great value, I think, moving forward.
Yeah.
Which is again part of the blockchain.
I knew you were going to say blockchain.
Well, it is because you want everyone to, like, if
aware.
If all of a sudden it's just Big Brother has the data, and you can then say, well, just make sure if everyone's aware of it, if everyone sees everything, then I guess that's fair, right? But then you go back to what's privacy, right? And who really knows how to ascertain the data? And I think that in some of the cybersecurity AI projects I've seen that haven't been to market yet, I think that's important because these aren't things that people are actually implementing, but they're startups or they're prototyping. they give all the data to everyone, but I think only a very select few amount of people know how to sort that data, I guess, with
Sure.
AI, or
Yeah,
know how
you
to
like
actually.
that sort, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
correlated, it's assimilated,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
aggregated, and do all those things. And that's where AI
Yeah.
is really good at, especially when you get into the edge computing aspect. And even with that computer at the edge, filtering, if you will, and sending only the good data up, especially when it comes to healthcare, like all the Fitbit data or your GPS data, how many miles you ran. You don't need all of that data because it's probably tracking every 1 or 2 seconds. And you're getting a hit of data at that time. So the summarization of it and the important data gets up to the cloud, and then from there it can be placed into wherever it's going to go. And as you know, even at the edge, the sensors are now actually doing more and more of some of that work, in what they call fog computing. And so now some of that logic is being built right into the chip before it even gets to the edge, much less the cloud, much less to the user.
Right. So how do you define fog computing? Because I've heard a couple different, because it's not quite edge computing. It's not, your
it's
computer
just
computing.
well, to me, fog computing is the sensor and the circuitries right around that sensor actually have some logic in it as well that are doing some of the filtering, the sorting, the aggregating in advance. So it's kind of a smart sensor in a sense.
Yeah. So that's all sensor level computing.
Yeah.
It's just because I've heard some that, and again, I don't know what's right or what's wrong really, because fog computing is still relatively new.
Yep.
But understanding how that plays versus the edge, I think, is important.
Sure,
At least
sure.
how we're referring to it.
Sure.
It's
Well,
computing on the device.
In some cases, you may not need an edge. You can
Yeah.
just do everything right there and then
Exactly.
go right up to the cloud.
But then you have people saying, "Well, my edge is on my device,"
Yeah,
and then we're talking a different language. I think that you could appreciate this working in IoT. When IoT first started to become a coined phrase that most people were referring to, everyone had a different definition for it. Right, and I think now everyone's kind of settled on it's the sensors. It's how they interact. It's how they
anything
interact.
that communicates, anything with an IP address.
Yeah, just the whole picture.
But there's also variations, as you know, industrial IoT,
Yep.
which is a fantastic initiative here in Cleveland with Team Neo. And what's going on there is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
The readiness assessment, the roadmap, it's a great tool for manufacturers. And we're hopeful to have one also coming out for healthcare as well, which is pretty exciting.
HIoT?
Well, there's Internet of Medical Things. So
okay.
instead of going at the front of that acronym, but it's somewhere in the middle, right?
IoT.
And there's the Internet of
yeah.
blank here.
Okay, interesting. Is that also done by Team Neo?
I think they're going to be working on that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So just to plug Team Neo real quick, I guess they're a workforce development initiative here in northeastern Ohio that is centered around bringing companies to Cleveland to enjoy a lot of the great resources that we have available today, and to help kind of grow this economy.
Absolutely, and doing a great job.
Fantastic job. What they're doing right now is, I think the focus is on manufacturing for the most part right now.
Initially for the IoT initiative.
For IoT, yeah. And there's some great guys at Hitachi Videra. I don't know if you've met Dave Moon. Bunch of guys over there really doing some great things to get sensors and some new technology into existing manufacturers, but to also attract new manufacturers saying, hey, look, we got the guys in town today to build up these IoT projects, blockchain projects, these AI projects, these just cybersecurity projects.
Absolutely.
AR, VR, I think that's probably going to be bigger for when healthcare comes around.
Very hot in healthcare, especially at the new medical college that's being built with Microsoft, with the HoloLens.
Yeah, and I've seen people at Case demo virtual surgeries, and I've got to play with them, and having played with the I don't know if you saw Lincoln Electric has a virtual AR welder. I've played with that, and I guess I just don't like welding is the answer. But the fake surgery is really interesting, right? Because it's there. It's just this hologram on a table. You have your remotes. You kind of cut into it. You can see a diagram. You could pull a heart out, but you could also see the sections of a heart. It's incredibly immersive. And I think that's only going to get better. Now, would I trust somebody that's only ever done virtual surgeries to do a surgery on my heart? Maybe not. But I think that's a fantastic first step versus going through, a bunch of cadavers on something that might not need one.
Yeah.